Okay, listener, buckle up, because this deep dive is taking us straight into the heart of October.
Straight into the heart of it.
Trust me, this isn't your typical Halloween highlights reel.
Not at all.
We're talking about a month that's shockingly contradictory,
That's right.
historically packed, and dare I say, even a little bit poetic.
It's true. October is this fascinating blend of contradictions. I mean, in some parts of the world, it's springtime,
Right.
while others are draped in those autumn colors.
Yeah.
And, some folks even claim it's the most beautiful month of the year.
Okay, springtime I get, but the most beautiful month.
Yeah.
You've got some explaining to do because October's got some serious competition.
You'd be surprised. We've got these, literary giants like Catherine Arden and Henry Ward Beecher who've written some, truly stunning passages about October's, unique beauty.
Really?
That crisp air, the way the light hits the turning leaves.
Yeah.
It seems to tap into something almost magical.
All right, you're painting a pretty picture.
I'm trying.
But let's not forget, October's beauty goes beyond the surface. It's a month steeped in history, and it can't even keep its place in line.
Oh, that's right.
It's the 8th month disguised as the 10th, right?
Exactly. The Romans, who gave us the name October from octo, meaning 8, they initially had it slotted in as their 8th month.
Right.
But after some calendar shuffling, it landed in the 10th spot.
Talk about an identity crisis.
I know, right?
But since we're already on the topic of the Romans, my notes mention something called mundus petit. It sounds a little ominous.
Let's just say it puts a whole new spin on spooky season.
Okay, how so?
Imagine ancient Rome, October 5th. They believed they could access the underworld through a pit in the ground.
Whoa.
The mundus petit was a ritual held 3 times a year to open this portal and appease the dead.
Okay, you definitely win the prize for creepiest October tradition.
Oh my gosh.
But October isn't all about ancient rituals and underworld portals.
It's not all doom and gloom.
It's also a month brimming with historical milestones.
Absolutely.
And the birthdays of some truly influential figures.
You're telling me October 2nd, for example, marks 2 incredibly significant anniversaries.
Really?
It's the birthday of Mohandas Gandhi, a champion of peace and nonviolent resistance.
His impact on the world is immeasurable. He showed us that real change can happen through peaceful protest.
Exactly. And on that same day, in 1967, Thurgood Marshall was sworn in as the first African-American Supreme Court justice.
Wow.
A monumental victory for the civil rights movement.
Excellent.
And a testament to his lifelong fight for justice and equality.
2 monumental figures, both advocating for a better world, and their legacies are forever intertwined on October 2nd.
That's powerful.
But let's not forget about another kind of legacy, the natural world. October 2nd also marks the anniversary of Redwood National Park.
Talk about awe-inspiring. Did you know those majestic redwood trees can live for thousands of years?
Thousands of years.
They were standing tall when the Roman Empire was at its peak, witnessing the rise and fall of civilizations.
It really puts our place in time into perspective, doesn't it?
It really does.
And speaking of perspective-shifting events, October marks a pivotal moment in human history, the dawn of the space age.
It does.
What a time to be alive.
I know.
October 4th, 1957.
Big day.
Remember that date?
Oh, yeah?
It was the day Sputnik, a tiny beeping satellite, launched into orbit, forever changing our understanding of what's possible.
Right.
And kicking off the space race between the U.S. and the Soviet Union.
The world was captivated.
You've got to imagine the tension, the fear, the excitement, all wrapped up in that one little satellite.
Right.
It's incredible to think that one event in October could have such a massive impact on global politics.
It's true.
And scientific exploration.
Absolutely. It's a powerful reminder that history is full of surprises, and even seemingly small events can have ripple effects that change the course of humanity.
Speaking of game changers, we can't forget about the impact of the automobile. On October 1st, 1908, Henry Ford's Model T, a car designed for the everyday person, first went on sale.
The Model T wasn't just a car, it was a revolution.
It was.
It transformed transportation and revolutionized manufacturing with its innovative assembly line production.
And to think, such a groundbreaking invention was introduced to the world in October.
That's right.
From groundbreaking cars to groundbreaking Supreme Court justices, October really does know how to make a statement.
That's for sure.
But it's not all about triumph and progress, is it? October also carries a weight of tragedy and conflict.
It's a stark reminder that history is rarely simple. October 6th marks the anniversary of the assassination of Egyptian President Anwar Sadat in 1981.
A man who, despite facing immense pressure, signed a historic peace treaty with Israel, sharing the Nobel Peace Prize with Menachem. Begin for his efforts. To think that a leader who championed peace would meet such a tragic end.
It highlights the complexities of diplomacy, the fragility of peace, and the ever-present threat of extremism.
Yeah.
His assassination was a devastating blow to the peace process in the Middle East.
A devastating blow, absolutely. And sadly, that's not the only tragedy etched into October's history. Just a few weeks later, on October 23, 1983, the world watched in horror as terrorists attacked the U.S. and French headquarters in Beirut, Lebanon.
The bombing resulted in the tragic loss of 241 American Marines and 58 French paratroopers.
This is a stark reminder of the human cost of conflict and the ever-present threat of terrorism.
A heartbreaking event.
It's heartbreaking to revisit those dark moments, but it's essential to remember and learn from them.
I agree.
Yet even with this weight, October also offers a glimmer of hope and resilience, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. The fall of the Berlin Wall on October 3, 1990, stands as a testament to the human spirit's enduring desire for freedom and unity.
Watching those images of people tearing down the wall, a symbol of division for almost 3 decades, it's a powerful reminder that even in the darkest of times, hope can prevail.
It was a pivotal moment in history, signaling the end of the Cold War and marking a new era of global cooperation.
And to think, it all began in October.
I know, right?
It's amazing how one month can be a crucible for both hope and despair, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And speaking of things that inspire hope, let's not forget the cultural milestones that have sprung from October.
Yes. From the first talkie, The Jazz Singer, premiering on October 6, 1927.
Can you imagine the excitement of hearing actors speak on screen for the first time?
It's hard to even fathom now.
It revolutionized cinema.
It really did. And let's not forget the birth of jazz legend Dizzy Gillespie on October 21st, 1917, whose innovative trumpet playing would change the landscape of music.
And we can't overlook the literary genius of Oscar Wilde, born on October 16, 1854, whose wit and social commentaries still resonate today.
October seems to be a breeding ground for creativity. It's as if the crisp autumn air ignites something special in the hearts and minds of artists.
From ancient Roman rituals to the invention of the Model T, groundbreaking Supreme Court appointments to the fall of the Berlin Wall, all seasoned with a dash of jazz and a sprinkle of literary brilliance. We covered a lot of ground, and it's only the first half of the month.
And the momentum doesn't stop there. October just keeps throwing these curveballs, but in the best way possible.
All right, I'm ready for more.
It's like a month-long crash course in all the twists and turns of history.
Okay, so what other historical roller coaster rides does October have in store for us?
Well, let's rewind to October 17th, 1777.
Okay.
A pivotal moment in the American Revolutionary War. It was the day British General John Burgoyne made a decision that would change, the course of history.
Let me guess. It didn't go so well for the Brits.
And you got it.
Okay.
Picture this. The Battle of Saratoga.
Okay.
The American forces, led by General Horatio Gates, are facing off against Burgoyne and his troops. The result: a decisive American victory, culminating in Burgoyne's surrender.
Whoa, talk about a turning point. It must have given the American colonists a much-needed boost of confidence, proving they could actually go toe-to-toe with the mighty British Empire.
Exactly. Saratoga was a major morale booster, and even more importantly, it convinced France to formally enter the war on the side of the Americans.
So in a way, this one battle in October helped secure the future of the United States.
You could say that.
Yeah.
And then, a few years later, on October 19th, 1781, the curtain fell on the American Revolution in a, truly dramatic fashion.
Okay, I need all the details.
Imagine the scene. Yorktown, Virginia. The British Army, realizing defeat is inevitable, marches out to surrender to General George Washington.
Okay.
But here's the kicker. Their band plays a tune called The World Turned Upside Down.
Oh, wow. Talk about adding insult to injury. Or maybe it was a touch of British humor in the face of defeat. Either way, what a way to end a revolution. But that struggle for freedom and self-determination, it's a story that repeats itself throughout history, doesn't it?
You're right. And October seems to be this recurring stage for these dramatic power struggles.
Really?
Take October 23rd, 1956, for example. In Hungary, a nation under the iron grip of Soviet control, citizens rose up in this, courageous bid for freedom.
A Hungarian Revolution, right?
Yes.
A people yearning to break free from oppression. It's a story we've seen play out time and time again.
Unfortunately, the Hungarian uprising was brutally crushed by Soviet forces. It was a harsh reminder of the human cost of fighting for freedom and the often brutal realities of Cold War politics.
Yeah, it's a stark reminder that freedom is a fragile thing, something we have to constantly fight to protect.
Absolutely. But there's another twist to this story. Fast forward a few decades to October 23rd, 1989, and we see a glimmer of hope emerge from that same region.
Okay, this I have to hear. What happened in 1989?
After decades under communist rule, Hungary declared itself a republic.
Wow.
It was a significant crack in the Iron Curtain, a pivotal step toward the eventual collapse of the Soviet Union.
Wow, from a crushed uprising to a hard-won Declaration of Independence, it's incredible how history can turn on a dime. And it seems like October's right there, chronicling it all.
It's wild, isn't it?
Yeah. It really makes you wonder what other historical echoes we might find woven into this one month.
Right.
We talked about the fall of the Berlin Wall earlier. It's hard to ignore the symbolic connection between these events. Like, October is whispering to us, reminding us that the fight for freedom is ongoing and that hope can bloom even in the most unexpected places.
It's a powerful thought. And speaking of powerful symbols of freedom, let's not forget about one of America's most iconic landmarks, the Statue of Liberty.
Ah, yes. Lady Liberty herself.
The one and only.
What's her October connection?
Well, on October 28th, 1886, the Statue of Liberty was officially dedicated in this grand ceremony.
A gift from France, if I remember correctly.
Exactly. It was a symbol of the enduring friendship between the two nations, and it quickly became a beacon of hope for millions of immigrants arriving on American shores, seeking a new life and a chance at the American dream.
It's amazing how one statue can hold so much meaning, representing freedom, opportunity, and the promise of a better future for so many. But speaking of remarkable figures who embodied those ideals, we can't overlook the incredible life and legacy of Eleanor Roosevelt, born on October 11th, 1884.
Oh, absolutely. A true trailblazer, wouldn't you say? As First Lady, she redefined the role, becoming a champion for human rights and social justice.
She was way ahead of her time. Can you imagine the courage it took for women in her era to speak out against injustice, especially when it came to issues like racial equality and women's rights? She was a force to be reckoned with.
Absolutely. She refused to be silenced, using her platform to advocate for the most vulnerable members of society and challenge the status quo.
Talk about inspiring. And speaking of inspiration, October seems to be like a hotbed for innovation as well, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. On October 21st, 1879, after countless attempts and tireless dedication, Thomas Edison finally perfected his electric incandescent light bulb. Can you imagine a world without electric lights?
It's mind-blowing. Talk about a simple invention that changed the world. But sadly, it's not all about progress and enlightenment, is it? October also bears witness to some of humanity's darkest chapters.
That's the duality of history, isn't it? Alongside moments of brilliance and progress, we also see the persistence of fear, intolerance, and injustice.
Unfortunately, you're right.
Yeah. The Salem witch trials, a period of mass hysteria and persecution fueled by superstition and fear, reached its peak in October of 1692.
A chilling reminder of how easily fear and paranoia can grip a community, leading to, unimaginable acts of cruelty and injustice.
And sadly, as we've seen throughout history, those patterns of fear and scapegoating, they continue to resurface, reminding us that we must always be vigilant in challenging intolerance and protecting the innocent.
It's a sobering thought. But speaking of things that can make us question reality, there's a fascinating event, more cultural than political, that took place on October 30th, 1938, forever changing the way we think about media.
You must be talking about Orson Welles and his infamous War of the Worlds radio broadcast. It's hard to imagine now, but millions of Americans tuned into that broadcast, believing that Martians were invading Earth.
I know, it sounds almost comical now, but at the time, radio was still a relatively new medium. Can you imagine the panic, the fear, the sheer chaos that must have ensued?
Right. It's a reminder of the power of media, the importance of critical thinking, and perhaps the need to take everything we hear, even from seemingly credible sources, with a grain of salt.
Words to live by, especially in today's world of information overload and social media echo chambers. So we've got revolutionaries, presidents, inventors, activists, and even a few fictional Martians, all leaving their mark on October.
It's a motley crew, that's for sure.
What else does this month have in store for us?
It's fascinating, isn't it, how October holds this, incredible tension between these groundbreaking advancements and then these echoes of darker times.
Yeah, it's true. We've gone from the brilliance of Edison's light bulb to the Salem witch trials, all within like the span of a few minutes.
Right.
It really highlights that constant push and pull between like innovation and the shadows of our past.
Totally. And that push and pull is evident in a rather, let's say, spirited chapter of American history that began on October 28th, 1919.
Okay, what happened then?
A nation built on the pursuit of happiness decided to try an experiment.
Oh, what's that?
Prohibition?
Wait, prohibition, as in banning alcohol entirely.
The one and only.
I know it happened, but it still seems so bizarre. What were they thinking?
Well, the temperance movement had been gaining momentum for decades, fueled by this complex mix of social anxieties and this desire for, a more morally upright society.
So good intentions, maybe, but ultimately a flawed experiment.
Yeah, you could say that. Prohibition proved nearly impossible to enforce, and instead of curbing alcohol consumption, it kind of had the opposite effect.
How so?
It fueled the rise of organized crime, bootlegging, speakeasies, you name it.
Wow. It's a cautionary tale about the law of unintended consequences, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. It shows that even when we try to legislate morality, things don't always go according to plan.
They don't, do they? And speaking of things not going according to plan, the very next year, on October 28th, 1922, a very different kind of social movement took hold in Italy.
Oh, yeah. While America was trying to outlaw liquor, Italy was facing the rise of Benito Mussolini and his fascist black shirts.
That's right.
Their march on Rome began on that day, marking a dramatic shift towards authoritarianism and ultimately paving the way for a dictatorship.
From an attempted utopia with prohibition to the very dark reality of fascism, it really is remarkable how much history October has witnessed.
It's a lot to process, for sure.
It's a stark reminder that freedom and democracy are things we need to constantly safeguard, wouldn't you say?
Without a doubt. The events of the 20th century, many of which unfolded in October, serve as powerful reminders of that fact.
They do.
And speaking of pivotal moments in history, October 29th, 1929 marks a date etched in the memories of many.
Yeah.
Black Tuesday.
Wow.
The day the stock market crashed, ushering in the Great Depression.
A day that sent shockwaves through the global economy. The images of people losing their life savings, the breadlines, the sheer desperation. It's a chilling reminder of how quickly prosperity can crumble.
Absolutely. The Great Depression was a time of immense hardship and uncertainty, and it had a profound impact on social and political landscapes worldwide. It's a reminder that economic stability is a delicate thing, and that the choices we make, both individually and collectively, can have these really far-reaching consequences.
It's definitely a period in history we can all learn from, even today. But, for all its tales of hardship and turmoil, October also offers stories of incredible resilience and the enduring human spirit. Take, for instance, what happened on October 5th, 1964.
You're talking about one of the most daring escapes since the Berlin Wall was erected. Picture this. East Berlin under the watchful eye of the Stasi. 57 East Germans managed to pull off the impossible.
What did they do?
They tunneled their way to freedom in West Berlin.
Wow. That's incredible. It sounds like something straight out of a spy movie.
I know, right? It's a testament to the lengths people will go to for freedom, risking everything for a chance at a better life.
It really does make you appreciate the value of liberty and the sacrifices people are willing to make for it.
It really does.
It also makes you appreciate a good escape plan. And speaking of daring journeys, we'd be remiss if we didn't mention the ill-fated journey of the Donner Party, which began on October 28, 1846.
Ah, yes, the Donner Party. Their story is a cautionary tale of the perils of westward expansion and the unforgiving power of nature.
Yeah. Stranded in the Sierra Nevada mountains during a brutal winter, their story is one of hardship, starvation, and just unimaginable choices made in the name of survival.
It's a stark reminder that even with the best intentions, things can go wrong, and that nature can be such a formidable force.
It's a reminder that we're not always in control, no matter how much we plan or prepare. But even in the face of such hardship, there's something about October that seems to remind us to celebrate the good times, to embrace the joy, and to, dare I say, raise a glass to life.
You're right. And speaking of raising a glass, we can't forget about one of October's most beloved traditions, one that's been going strong for over 2 centuries.
What's that?
On October 12, 1810, what began as a royal wedding celebration in Bavaria, you guessed it,
Don't leave me hanging.
evolved into the global phenomenon we know as Oktoberfest.
Oktoberfest. Of course. A celebration of beer, pretzels, and good cheer. It's amazing how a local celebration turned into a global phenomenon.
I know, right? It's a testament to the power of tradition, community, and of course a good brew.
It seems like October just keeps on giving. We've journeyed from ancient Rome to the space age, from revolutions to inventions, tragedies to triumphs, and we've even managed to squeeze in a beer festival or two. It's amazing to think that a single month can hold so much of the human experience.
It's really remarkable. And as we turn the page on another October, it makes you wonder, what new stories will be written this month? What impact will we have on the world?
It's a question worth pondering. What will your mark on October be? And that's a wrap on this deep dive into the heart of October.